Ahoy, hoy, friends, and welcome to the Salon. We are so excited to talk about tonight's episode. Tragically, the penultimate episode of Star Trek Lower Decks. We have just one left of the entire series, sadly. But what a way to go out. This episode was so fun, so exciting. Before we get into it, a couple of quick announcements. As always, please do like and share. We've got a website. We're on Spotify. We're here on YouTube. Please do subscribe. We're also on Twitter, at least for now. We're on Blue Sky. We also have a Patreon where we have some fun stuff for free, fun stuff for $2, and fun stuff for $5. So if you want to help support the Salon, you can join us there, and we definitely appreciate it. That said, let's get into tonight's fun. Before we deep dive into tonight's episode, we're going to talk about the super fun trailer for Star Trek's latest projects that's coming just next month. In just over a month and a week and a half, January 24th, we will be getting the first of the streaming movies, Section 31. So let's beam some people from maybe the mirror universe or maybe not to discuss it. Let's start with my co-host, Trevor. Welcome. How are you?
Ahoy, ahoy back. I'm doing delightfully well. How are you?
So good. It's a chilly for LA evening. It's 54 degrees. It's lovely. Let's bring in Joanne. Joanne, how are you, darling?
Hello. I'm glad it's almost Friday. How about that?
I like it. Speaking of Friday, I don't know. Here's Krista. Yes. Cheers, Krista. God, I love you so much.
Cheers. Hi, I have wine.
Yes. Speaking of whining, here's Matt. Just kidding. I adore you, Matt. How are you?
That seemed a little on the nose. Even for you, that seemed a little too easy.
Well, and here you are whining about it. Cheers.
Speaking of too easy, where's Will?
Yeah, she's hopefully going to be coming on late. Matt, how you doing?
I am doing great. I'm here. I'm queer. I'm gonna steer the conversation somewhere.
Into the metaverse. Matt, no, I was looking at Matt right as I went to look at Tindy, who was about to bark. Tindy, no barking. And also Matt no barking.
Don't bark.
Tindy, get out of the window. Sorry, y'all. Let's get into it. Before we talk about tonight's episode, let us first talk about this fun project that's coming up. Opinions abound, but we got a new trailer for the Section 31 movie led by the incredible Michelle Yeoh. She was so jazzed to be in Star Trek. She loves it. She made it a priority to come to this project, even though as an Academy Award winner, she can do whatever the fuck she wants from now on. I'm so excited. Let's just do general thoughts on it. I'll start not too much by way of plot, but we got a little bit of interesting tidbits of various characters. I get the sense that something either from the mirror universe or something that Giorgio encountered in the mirror universe is happening in the Prime, and so they have to get her involved. Starfleet's there a little bit to make sure they don't go too fucking crazy. That space station looks really fucking cool. All kinds of fun shenanigans happening. And the racist aliens are back. And people had opinions about it. Who has thoughts on the Section 31 trailer? Let's go to Matt to be a bummer first, because I can tell from your face. You're making a I hate it face. What are you doing?
No.
Okay, good.
I hate some of the talk around it already that I've seen, because I've seen the whole like, does this break canon? Because they said there was only 2 of them left. And is like, okay, are we already doing like those conversations? Like, if we know it's going to be Discovery, we know they're going to be very loose. with a lot of the like established canon. They're gonna be, you know, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's every possible chance that there was just a third one of them that they didn't know about, and he's still around. Like, easy explanations. My biggest actual complaint is I don't want to see Section 31 in charge of time travel. It's a personal thing to me because it just doesn't make sense. But I've also spent way too much time thinking about it, so I'm willing to accept that that's a personal gripe. So
Fair
it looks
enough.
beautiful though,
Yes.
and dark like Discovery. So unfortunately, I was hoping we could have a little more like, you know, lit ships, but
It is a plague on multiple franchises. I mean, just look at Wicked. The one knock I can see on Wicked is like, why does it look so dull?
yeah, dark.
Tint
Yeah.
wise, that's it. Krista, did you have thoughts on the trailer?
Just the
Shoe
shoe
porn?
porn. I'm looking forward to the shoe porn. I'm a simple girl. I honestly though, it struck me as sort of like Jerry Bruckheimer version of Star Trek. Like it's just going to be lots of over the top fighting and it's very dark, and so I'm just going with the outfits now. I'm just gonna be satisfied with the outfits, and I'm gonna let go of my desire to have something that really sort of is more spycraft and the underbelly of, you know, how the dirty deeds, the Taylor Sheridan of dirty deeds, how we get these things done. Also, can we just rename Paramount Studios to Taylor Sheridan Presents?
It's a different podcast.
Sorry, but I mean, Jesus, talk about fucking formulaic. Anyway.
Something kind of works. Let's redo it and redo it and redo it. Absolutely.
I'm looking forward to it, but I'm looking forward to it for the just kind of like the visual bombastic
for Rachel Garrett's wig.
Yeah, in your face kind of stuff. Not necessary, and it doesn't matter to me whether it's canon, whether it, you know, is appropriate. It's, you know, fuck you people. Just embrace the shit that's new and just fucking get over it.
That's right. And Joanne is shaking her head. Yes. Joanne, what were your thoughts?
Sorry, Joanne.
No. I agree with that so much. I thought the response to the trailer was fucking ridiculous. Like banana sandwich, right? Because it was snippets. Like we literally have no idea what's going to happen, right? Like no context. And we lost our collective shit, which is wild to me. But I am excited about, like Krista, the fashions. I think that shit is going to be hot and sexy. Like I'm here for all the leather, all the quote unquote faux fur. Fuck it, you know, it's Georgia. She'll kill an animal and wear it. I'm here for it. So yeah, slay bitch.
Oh yeah, and Joanne, just a quick note. I think there's a little bit of feedback on your mic, so I don't know if it's your settings or not, but I'll try and work on it on my end too.
Let's see.
Trevor, your thoughts on the Section 31 trailer?
So many thoughts. Agree with what everyone has already said, so I won't repeat it all. Other than Matt, I wouldn't worry. I don't get the sense that that's where it's going. I mean, she gets deposited somewhere, sure, but that was already committed to. But I don't think those are the shenanigans she's up to.
I do think it's going to be more of like not time travel, but just like mirror universe jumping, which would obviously make sense. Like Section 31 could 100%. Like that's what the shit that they would do.
Yeah.
Like I feel like time travel is just a little above their pay grade even. So.
That I could see. My greatest joy actually came from watching the trailer and being like, oh wow, that's a lot of cool action for Trek. Like I don't always like I didn't fall in love with Trek because of action, but I don't mind Trek having action, if that makes sense. It just doesn't need to be dominated by it. So that we're getting this one-off thing that's going to be super adventurous. I mean, you hired Michelle Yeoh, you're not going to have her, just sitting in a throne. Like it's going to be an action movie. So that's awesome. So I was digesting it all and enjoying it and getting really excited. And then for about 4.5 seconds, Star Trek fans made me dislike a Star Trek project just because they were being so obnoxious and so vocally negative on social media about something they haven't fucking seen yet. So, like, if the trailer doesn't entice you, cool. Like, there have been other trailers that didn't entice me, and I ended up liking the projects. So, I'm a weirdo for let's just watch it and then decide how we feel about it, including the whole, how can there be one of the, I think they're Sharons or Sharonians, whatever the hell they're called, the folks who are black on one side and white on the other. How can there be someone from a spacefaring race still alive after their planet died? I don't know. Maybe he was on a spaceship. Anyway, what I ended up turning, I turned a negative into a positive and just enjoyed the fact that I'm pretty positive Paramount put that scene in there just to ignite the fandom and watch them freak out, because I'm not a huge fan of manipulation, but if you're going to be an asshole, I don't mind you being manipulated. So if you were being an asshole about this project, but talking about it nonstop, thanks for making the thing that I'm looking forward to super popular.
He also had super gay voice, and I loved it. He sounded like a sassy F slur, and I hope he gets more than just like that hostess line.
He's more than half homosexual.
Yes. The original series was never hyperbolic. How dare they? Every single one of them was dead. No. Super excited. We don't know what it's going to look like. Quick preview to the Salon programming. Obviously, next week we'll be talking about the next episode. But in January, we've got a fun series of salons and ethics to just really lean into the Section 31 theme. So we're going to start with talking about the ethics of the holodeck, and then the following week the Prime Directive, and now the interdimensional Prime Directive will have a new layer to it. And then I forget the third thing, and then we're talking about is the third thing Section 31 movie, or was there another third thing, Trevor?
The third thing is the existence of Section 31 and its portrayal up until this film.
That's right. And I knew that because I'm good at co-hosting a podcast. So the night before the movie, we'll be talking about Section 31 as a concept, as we've seen it in at least 3 or 4 now series in the franchise. And then Friday, January 24th, we will have a special salon to do a quick reaction to the movie. We only be out for the day, so we'll be talking about it in generality, and then we'll deep dive into it the following week. So there's just a quick preview. But there's so much to talk about before we even get to the new year. That's a 2025 problem. I've been saying that a lot at work lately. That's a 2025 problem. I'm basically, that's a 2025 probleming myself into a very busy January, but it's going to be fine. But that is also a 2025 problem. Let's talk about tonight's episode of Star Trek. But before we can deep dive into this episode, we simply must set an intention.
Indeed, we must. So, to set an intention tonight, I thought it would be fun if we went around the room and shared what alternate universe character would we think would make a great addition to Boimler's crew. So doesn't have to be an alternate universe we've seen before. This can be one you've completely manufactured in your noggin. But would love to know what alternate universe Star Trek character you would like to have seen in this episode. And as always, I will start us off. I don't know if this warrants a button or not, but I'll just warn you ahead of time. For me, it's a Travis Mayweather that's just really into me.
Problematic gay alert.
I'll give you a half.
I'll take it.
Take the full.
Okay.
Wait.
No, you get one.
Problematic gay alert.
That was unintentional.
But I mean, go ahead and push it again because that was the plan all along.
Problematic gay alert.
I can't believe I'm about to say these words, but Matt, save us from the problematic gay alerts and give us your response.
You know, mine actually might, because mine has nothing to do with a gay or an attractive person.
Yet.
Well, I mean, I guess she could have. Mine was going to be one in which Naomi Wildman became a teenager and Voyager didn't go home fast enough, so she took over the ship, usurped Captain Janeway, and got them home. I feel like that would be fun. Like, just a total, like, I am the captain now moment. Like, she's just like, I'm sick of this. All I've done is live my life on a starship. I now know so much about this one very hyper-specific thing, and she just gets them home.
I love it. Mostly because I enjoy any chance that Scarlett gets to be sassy, any chance that actress has been a little bit forthright.
Mm-hmm.
She's good
I
at
think
it.
it would be great. Yeah.
Joanne, my love.
So mine would be that still sound crazy, Stan?
No, you're good.
So mine would be Catherine
Not yet.
Pulaski, transferred to Deep Space Nine and was the doctor there. And Worf came and she shot a shot, and Worf and Pulaski were married. That's mine.
The tea ceremony. It
The
started
tea
in
ceremony.
TNG, and then they both get transferred, but for different reasons. The tea ceremony was their meet cute. Oh my god, Joanne, I fucking love that.
Yes, yes.
And I hate Worf. Good job. It's incredible.
Sounds like Pulaski was just in that relationship for the tea. Krista, dear.
I completely misinterpreted this question. I thought
Somebody's going to.
every time.
Every week it's going to be someone.
What you meant was what other character would we have joining Boimler's
Okay.
team?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Go for it.
that's where I'm coming from.
Okay.
And I still couldn't come up with an answer. So I went with my fallback answer, which is always Jillian. And so I would have Jillian the whale. But in this scenario, she is in a polyamorous relationship with all the Kims.
Listen, yet again, you
She's
may not
their
have understood the
dominatrix.
assignment, but you nailed it.
How do you do that? You
Yeah.
like do your own
Matron.
thing and it works. It's terrifying.
It's magic. I'm a Libra.
Also, but where on that Defiant class ship is Jillian? I want to know.
That's the thing. That's what makes it funny. Like,
that poor creature.
no,
She's got her
it's
helmet
like,
on.
you remember that game when you were a kid? You guys are too young, but there was a game where you pushed this clear like dome and a dice on the inside flipped. That's where Jillian is. She's under the dome that she just swims around, and the Kims get all tanked up and service her. I'm telling you, it's
I'm sorry. The takeaway line of the night is the Kims get all tanked up. I don't know what's going to stop that.
That's it.
Matt, you came off mute. What were you going to say?
Oh, I don't remember at this point. I can't. That just etch-a-sketched everything away. We're good. We're great.
Oh man. Well, I will
Very
close
good.
this out and say, I taking inspiration from tonight's episode, we're gonna get into it for sure. I was so delighted at what they did with Garrick. I thought, why not more? Infinite universes with infinite possibilities. Why not Garrick married to Tasha Yar? And she's the ship's counselor, and he's the first officer. Why not Garrick who is married to Kira? Because that would actually have been something that could have been interesting in the Prime universe, a relationship or a friendship with a Cardassian in such a way. And not Ducat, obviously. Nana is correct about that. And everything else. Yeah, more Garricks for sure. Lovely intention setter as always. So many possibilities, so many combinations, infinite, in fact. God, I was so excited about tonight's episode. So let's get into it. Let's talk about our top thoughts. I will kick us off. I fucking loved this episode. There was so much to like just scratch every little itch that I have in the franchise. Like time will tell how I feel about this episode as, you know, a story and beginning, middle, and end. But for me, this felt like whoever loved Picard season 3 the most, that's how I felt about this, because I was like, I wanted her back. I wanted them back. I wanted them to get together. That's so cool to see Mariner do that. That's so cool to see it. I like I was losing my damn mind. In fact, I texted some of the crew yesterday. I was like, holy shit, it's late. Sorry, but really do want to watch this as soon as you can and avoid spoilers if you can. Because holy shit, they got T'Pol back. I got emotional. I got emotional seeing and hearing Jolene as T'Pol. I got emotional seeing, yes, it's not our Garrick, it's not our Bashir, but seeing that the universe finds a way. And like I'm gonna get political for just a second. We're not getting crazy tonight, but times are weird, and the election was rough, and the anti-LGBTQ onslaught is coming. And to see in Star Trek an openly queer relationship, a kiss, holding hands, a little argument in a rainbow rift, it made me emotional. And it was Trevor, I'm sorry, I'm going to steal your thunder for a quick second. You had mentioned this, and I thought as well, like Andrew Robinson has been clear for years that he was like, it clicked for him when he was like, oh, I want to fuck this guy. Like that's Garrick's relationship to Bashir. I've never heard Alexander talk about it, but for him to be in this episode, to really lean into it, like if he felt that was weird at all, they would not have done it. And so it was really cool to see two straight men lean into this, be willing to do it in 2024 when there's so much backsliding in representation. It was just lovely. And for the episode in general, we got Boimler's clone back. We got Section 31 in a not in your face kind of way about it, because like this was a Section 31 mission that we just watched, and it was done really well. Curzon was whatever. We'll get into it. Listen, it would have been too much, but had it been Jadzia, I would have melted.
But the thing is,
those are my top thoughts.
Well, like, I just want to interject on the tail end of that. The thing is, that would have been the perfect time to do it.
Yeah.
Like, it was an alternate reality in where Jadzia Dax didn't die of a stupid write-off.
What if that's happening next week? That is my
God,
I'm gonna put it into the universe because of what T'Pol did. What if there is a Jadzia who doesn't have Dax yet or whatever, and T'Pol needs to make a deposit. We know that. And what if we get another next week with T'Pol making her deposit of
at the Bank of Trill?
Okay, we're getting all over the place. It was so good. I loved it. Krista, top thoughts.
I loved it. The thing that I love the most about it is that the dedication of getting the actual live action actors to come in and voice the animated actors for me, because I waited until the credits to make sure that the real actors were doing it. I just think that that's such a that's such a heartwarming piece of dedication, like that they would come back and do it, and that the showrunners would ask them to come and do it and have all of them together. I think it's delightful. I loved the double down of Garrick and Bashir. I'm happy that they presented it. I thought it was I thought it was adorable. I thought it was like they were going to pick out curtains. I mean, the whole thing was like just it was so well done. I just loved it. I love this episode much more than this is probably my favorite episode of the season. I am enjoying watching Boimler sort of evolve into the visage of Riker. Like it's by the end, he will just be young Riker. And I think that that's amusing to me. And it was a Boimler centric. I mean, I'm fucking tired of the motherfucking multi-universe too. I can't keep track of that fucking shit. I can't do. It's a cartoon. Don't ask me to work that fucking hard. Like it's a cartoon. I'm supposed to be sitting there eating fucking cereal, picking out the marshmallows and my Lucky Charms, and just enjoying my day. It's not. I don't want to have to think. So I like pretty shiny things. I'm gonna drink.
Speaking of pretty shiny things, Joanne, what were your top thoughts?
I thought it was good, right? I really did love seeing Garrick and Bashir be a thing. Representation matters. And I love that they really played it very earnestly too, right? Because sometimes you can hear like the unease of the actors, even in, you know what I mean, their voice characterization sometimes about their lines or whatever, but you could tell, you know, they enjoyed this, you know, this characterization. So I thought that was really important and really meaningful. And, you know, I loved that whatever kind of plot or theme that there was, that it was about, you know, potential love, humanity, and, you know, seeing the best and trusting our relationships and friendships and all of that. I thought it was very wholesome. So yeah.
Speaking of wholesome, Matt Darling, Jesus Krista, drag her. Matt, what are your top thoughts on this episode?
You're putting me behind Krista all night, and I can't, like, I'm not on that level tonight. I just can't keep up with her. I liked it. I thought it was fun. I'm still a little confused about just all of the everything. But I loved having Lily Sloan back. The idea that there's this different, you know, they explore moments and humanity, not, yeah, I don't know. I thought it was fantastic. That was it. That's my top thought. I don't have a lot of thoughts on it. I feel like, I don't know. It was a weird episode for me. It was a weird episode.
Interesting. Well, let's get into it after we hear from Trevor. Your top thoughts.
This might be my favorite episode of Lower Decks that isn't full of knee slappers. Like, generally speaking, the episodes that I gravitate toward because of what this show is meant to do are the ones that make me laugh out loud frequently every 2 minutes when it's supposed to happen, you know, when the hits just keep on hitting. This episode, I loved everything about it. It was not as funny, but it was still, I mean, it was still comedic and great. But just the story and the inclusion of the cameos that we keep talking about that were far more than cameos. I would love to hear negative thoughts on Curzon, because or were there not negative thoughts on Curzon, just positive thoughts on Jadzia? And so I'm not sure where we fell on that, but we can get into it. I enjoyed Curzon for all of his ridiculous Klingon obsession. It kind of made, to me, it informed why Jadzia was so, because that always seemed kind of out of sequence or out of balance, and him being a little obsessed was kind of fun for me. In just sort of reconciling Jadzia and her interpretation of the Dax symbiont's memories of that. Anyway, to Paul, I mean, I can't say enough. I like my cold, frigid little heart just sort of exploded with warmth. The way that Jolene was treated just by production, and the fact that I don't know what she probably had to go through to fit into those outfits, but it probably wasn't pleasant. And then obviously she made whatever choices she made after Star Trek, and hasn't acted in a very long time, at least professionally. So to get her back and to let her just sort of have this wonderful little return to the character. It sounded, there were a few moments where it sounded like she was struggling finding her T'Pol voice, but I let that up for the fact that it isn't our T'Pol, it's a T'Pol from some universe. And then just you didn't steal my thunder. My thunder is to be shared. But yes, Sid coming back and just fully embracing the dynamic between Bashir and Garak, and not just embracing it, but like being really good at it. Like clearly, Sid and Andrew are quite fond of each other, because that's a hard thing to sell when you haven't worked together in decades, and suddenly you sound like you're in a wonderful, loving relationship, which just makes me, this is weird, but following on this tangent, just makes me kind of gush for Nana even more, like, than I already do, because clearly she has fantastic taste in spouses. Because and she has said that post divorce, that Sid is one of her favorite human beings, regardless of the status of their marriage. And it, I don't know, it just kind of shows in that he's just it seems like a wonderful person, but the connection between he and Andrew and their ability to sell that just was adorable and fantastic in all its ways. And this is probably my first top thoughts where I went this long, but I don't care. I'm done now.
Hey, it's always welcome. So let's get into some of the various plot bits. I want to start by talking about T'Pol, and not only her inclusion in this episode, but the role that she played throughout as the first officer, still a science officer, and a friend to Curzon. I love, like, again, I was also gushing over like getting Jolene back in the franchise in this fun critical role. The tidbits that we got throughout, like she was married to her trip for 63 years, which is so cute. Her saying that big Starfleet nerd was an apt description for Archer. Mariner gushing over her, getting a scene of her caring about the diet of her friend from a non-fat phobic, purely scientific perspective. Sodium is not a full life is true. It's delicious, but it's not a full life. And then just her effort to save Dax. And while they couldn't save Curzon, they couldn't save the symbiont in this particular case. She did what a good Vulcan can do. She pulled she pulled that shit out and mind melded to a slug, and now she has a deposit to make next week. And I just can't wait to see where they take it. Who has thoughts on T'Pol and her story in this episode? I'll go back to Trevor. I'll make him say more.
I can do that. I can say all
Please
the
do.
things. No, I'm like tortured with not know, like there's going to be a deposit. Like I'm making fun of you for using that terminology, but it's going to happen.
I did it on
just
purpose.
Now it's just fun to figure out where the hell it's going. Is it going to be Jadzia? Does she even make the deposit? Is she T'Pol Dax? I don't know, but I can't wait to find out. But I did find it interesting that they put her in something that looked similar to what she wore, but not quite so obnoxiously sexualized.
And a cute little robe.
I appreciated that. Yes. And somebody, I it may have been on Tech Shrek's first watch that somebody wrote in the comments. It almost looked like they merged T'Pol's outfits from the show with T'Pol's mother's outfits from the show and created this sort of more mature T'Pol. So, but I liked that she wasn't as sexualized as she was in Enterprise.
This also is a great reminder of T'Pol, Liss, Rose from Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. Right on top of that, Rose. I want to know if Jolene ever said that to her on set. I could not help it. All right. Well, speaking of T'Pol, who else was really excited about her was Operations Mariner. So we got a different version of Mariner, super nerd, sort of the Rutherford of her universe, as we know, in ours with the engineering prowess. And Benji just noted we got the Type 7 shuttle, which is his favorite. And a fun little different character for Tawny to play, which was super fun. Did anybody have thoughts that they wanted to share on this version of Mariner? It's not Becky Freeman.
I'm going again. Oh, sorry. I was just going to say one really, really fast. That was one of my favorite lines of the episode was, "Oh my God, Boims, is that T'Pol?" Like that was one of my favorites. Sorry.
No, that was funny. And it's funny how obsessed she is with like all the Trekkers past, or you know what I mean? Like Mariner is always like, "Oh my God, you're really famous. Oh my God, I know you." So that bit is funny. She was very Barkley-like. And then I wondered, like, oh, was it supposed to be Barkley? But I heard he's kind of a dick in real life, right? So maybe this was the compromise, but
he's very MAGA.
So yeah, dick. But I liked a mellowed out Mariner. Mariner's a lot for me. So I liked a Mariner who was just like, I'm really smart and I do these things, and yeah, I don't have to be, adventure girl every week. So I liked it. I thought that was fun.
Other thoughts on Mariner? Matt?
It felt like just Mariner, which seemed weird. I kept forgetting, like, in my head, I kept wanting her to be like, oh, this is our Mariner that somehow, like, I don't know, there was just something that, like, it was so similar to me. It seemed weird. I was like, I almost wanted more of a difference between, her, Mariner Prime and, Engineer Mariner. But I really liked it. I thought it was fun. I really liked that they had an excuse to get that duo back, because like that is such an integral part of Boimler. Like he's not as fun without Mariner, so like to be able to get her back was great. So, but I think she could have been like just a little different, like a weird accent or something. Like I just wanted like some kitschy dumb, like it's her but she's Irish, like I don't, or like something just completely,
a goatee.
Beckett
yeah.
Beckett O'Mariner.
Beckett O'Mariner. How about Curzon? So we've got a Curzon Dax who hasn't died yet, to pass the symbiont on to a Jadzia. Very obsessed with Klingon culture and an asshole to T'Pol. I feel like Krista and I are going to be in a little bit of lockstep here. I thought it was a little much, and I thought he was too much of an asshole to her. It was very like it was very Bones, but more overtly racist. But I don't know, Krista.
For me, it was more kind of a validation of how I felt when I watched Deep Space Nine, and I was like, are we ever going to find out about Jadzia, or is Jadzia just the carapace containing the importance of Curzon? Because I don't give a fuck about this guy. I'm not interested in. I'm completely uninterested. I'd like to know about the woman instead. So for me, for them to really seem to double down on the choice to focus on a character that wasn't the actual character on the screen in some kind of weird way. And I really appreciated that they doubled down on it, and they made him obnoxious. They made him like, you know, vault into the air at the opportunity of doing Klingon shit, and ultimately making pretty much everything about him. I was like, this is a female's interpretation of the character of Kershaw Dax for DS9. If you were a Jadzia fan, it made sense to me. So I felt sort of seen as a viewer, like, okay, this guy is a douche, and he is deliberately antagonistic. But I will say, I don't really know anything about, I didn't watch Enterprise, so I don't know T'Pol from, you know, T'Pal, but I liked that her being very unemotional as a Vulcan accentuated and sort of involved with himself that Curzon was. It was like a nice foil to really illustrate how he was just like, what, I can't have salt? I mean, eat all the fucking salt you want, you douche.
Does anybody know who voiced him? Trevor and I have a theory that it was Fred Tatasciore, but
I hate the character so much, I don't fucking care.
well, that was a question for everybody, Krista. Thank you. Does anybody, Matt or Joanne? Oh, you did? Okay.
It was him. Yeah.
It was Fred.
It was Fred.
Yeah.
It was fucking Fred.
Yeah.
I'm not going to remember that it's alternate Curzon Benjamin. And if you want to argue that, you can get up here and be a face box. Otherwise, have a seat.
Yeah, be a face box. Matt or Joanne, your thoughts on Curzon in this episode?
I thought it was probably the dumbest thing that was on screen the entire time. To me, it made no sense. The man was supposed to be like a well-respected, very suave, like, and I get it's an alternate reality, but like the whole point is that we get to see a character that we never saw before. So it's like, I don't know. I thought it was dumb. I thought it was dumb and campy, but not like good campy. Like, I don't know. I just not a fan. Didn't enjoy. Really hope you put that in my head that we could see Jadzia, and now if I don't see Jadzia Dax next week or hear Jadzia Dax next week, I'm going to be very upset.
Stan's fault.
Blame Stan.
I am not in charge of anything. I have been told repeatedly.
You were in charge of this podcast, and you said something to me, and now I want it to happen.
Somebody on a Star Trek podcast with 130 subscribers said that
we are in triple digits.
Yeah.
That is 3.
And our viewership is in the high double digits most weeks.
And it's in high digit. So many times.
We've been stopped mid-stride at a Star Trek convention.
Yes.
Several times, actually.
Yes.
There are candles, Stan. There are candles.
Yes. Listen, I like our podcast. I'm wearing our shirt.
Recognized by Aaron.
Yes.
He's our patron of this you know how like ships have like that patron saint?
Oh.
Yeah, he's our patron saint. Yeah.
He's our patron writer.
We're going to hoist him up to the ship next time. Joanne, your thoughts on Curzon?
I thought, for me, pardon me, he had the funniest line with everybody's about to get their asses kicked. Like, I thought that was hilarious and relatable content, right? So I was, that part got a chuckle out of me. I didn't care kind of one way or the other because we we didn't know Curzon, although, and I guess he is alternate universe Curzon, so we didn't know what little we know about Curzon from our universe doesn't necessarily have to translate, I guess, but although you are kind of who you are at your core, but I would find it hard, like, well, what did Benjamin see in this Curzon? Because he doesn't seem to be the kind of person that Cisco would relate to, so that was kind of like, but I didn't care one way or the other, and it was like 3 a.m. and I didn't give a fuck.
I felt like that version of Curzon was not friends with Cisco in their universe, for sure. I'm trying to decide what order we should talk about it. Let's just get this out of the way. Harry Kim was in this episode. It was fun. It was fun. It was delightful. The actor bothers me, whatever. But I loved that the ensigns Kim were fantastic, and Lieutenant Kim was just a douchebag, and that extra pip went straight to his head. I thought that was fun, a fun twist. Who has thoughts on the Harry's Kim? Trevor.
This is not going to sound like a compliment, but it actually is. So this is not to take away from any of the incredibly hard work that I'm sure Garrett has put into on-screen performances. But from what I have seen of Garrett's work, this is probably the best. And I say that because he's not on, like, I hate that he's not, like, I'm saying that about a voiceover, and I, like, realize that. But, like, he did, in my opinion, better work in this than he did in all of Voyager. Like, maybe it's the ease of not being on camera. Maybe I don't know. But he was funny when he needed to be funny. He was. I realized the dramatic twist was more of just like face action, which obviously he didn't do because it's animated. But like, I just thought it was actually really good work for, yes, someone who is somewhat problematic. So I'm not like suggesting that I'm his biggest fan. I'm just saying, I'm just recognizing a good voice performance when I hear it, and I thought he did a great job.
I will have to say I agree that I think he was the most his character, if that makes sense. Like, Joanne, like, they all like were their characters, but he seemed like he could drum it up the most, which admittedly is because it was the last thing he did successfully. So like it's easier to tap back into. I get it. So I liked the irony of like, oh, there's a Harry Kim everywhere. There's a Harry, and no one notices that they're gone, but they're super competent. Like, I don't know. It was really fun. I liked the plot line. I thought it was a little overdone, but that's why I say this whole like episode was very strange to me.
It did lead to a fantastic throwaway line that we didn't get to hear the answer to, which was when he sat around with the other Kims and he's like, "What did you guys do with your Tuvixes?" That was pretty fantastic. And also, I mean, the line that we saw in the trailer was great. It just, I feel like the trailer ruined it a little bit with that's fucked up, like, because
yeah,
it is, and it was, and so that was delightful. But yeah, anyway, the what did you guys do with your Tuvixes was brilliant. Anyone else have thoughts on the young Mr. Kim?
It isn't the I don't know, the fandom theory with him is that he isn't, the joke is that he's never promoted, he's like just there or whatever, and so I understood that, and then then we're like, look, it's Harry Kim, and then they go, oh, we've got a lot of those, and like it's just a bunch of them, and it's such a stupid joke, but it works. It works. And they're all like, hey, 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 and they're in all of the departments, and they're all still ensigns, and it's just like such a dig, such a read, and I was amused. But again, I didn't see him as a live actor, so I have nothing to compare it with. I have only rumor and
It was
speculation.
also it's a bit of a deep cut for an early episode of Voyager, because we'll get into this when we do our Thumb Wars next year for Voyager, but there is an episode where a duplicate Harry Kim comes to our Voyager where Harry dies. So even the Harry that we knew was not technically the original, or was he? It's a matter of perspective. So
it also,
having all those was a deep cut.
The line about their like, oh, we have a lot of those, reminded me. I don't know if anybody's ever heard Jonathan Frakes tell the story about like his early convention appearances, but he was able to kind of maneuver through the dealer's room in a couple of those smaller conventions without being sort of mobbed or swamped at the time, and kept seeing dealers with selling TNG action figures, but the number that he saw with little signs up that were like, buy this many action figures and get a free Riker. For some reason, we got a lot of those with the Harry Kims. Like, that's exactly what I just immediately thought of that Frakes story, which is, I don't know, random but fun.
Anybody else have other thoughts on the Harry's Kim? All
Can
right,
we just call them Harry's Kim forever now?
Always. The plurality. Let's talk about this queer love fest. Like I said earlier, I got emotional. I loved it. Like, we obviously want to see this in the Prime universe, but seeing a two different universes version of these two characters come together, they are husbands, they held hands, they kissed. That kiss lingered. It wasn't just a quick peck. Like, it's more than we're getting in live action Trek, including Strange New Worlds, which could, in theory, be one of the queerest versions of Trek ever. They have the freedom to do it, I would think. But then we know the studio meddles a lot, and we've heard about it with Disco. But then we got this. Look at them in their little rainbow interdimensional. Oh my God. They're so cute. I love them. And their argument was hilarious. Garrick arguing just for arguing's sake. It's very Garrick. It's universal across universes. Who has thoughts about these faggots?
Why do you have military training? You're a doctor.
Old habits die hard, dear.
I thought they missed an opportunity, though. I get it, he's a hologram, but I thought they missed an opportunity to have Salt and Pepper Bashir, like, hot.
Yeah.
So
I would have preferred long hair Game of Thrones Prince Doran.
also hot. I mean, what
Also
version
very
of
hot.
him?
He can
What
get
version
it.
of Sid is not
Get it.
hot, right?
Right.
Yeah.
He could get it any fucking day.
Yeah, he was a hot lawyer in Foundation.
Anyway, too, like,
And
ugh.
he's quite right. Yes.
All right, fine. I'm pushing the button.
They're not singing the song.
I'm not singing the song.
Problematic gay alert. You thirsty bitch.
In the arms of the angel.
It's all of
Thirsty
the
bitch.
above. Matt, you were going to share some thoughts about the queer sheer of it all?
THOTS. I love these silly faggots. It's so immensely joyful that this, of all like the Star Trek iterations, finally is like, guys, they were banging. Everyone admits it. Everyone knows this. Like, I'm so happy that we finally got this, and they did such a good job. I forget, Chris, I think it was you or Joanne that said earlier that like the chemistry there. Just no, I think it was Joanne. You said about being able to fake voice acting. Like, they are so good together, and you know that they have been practicing for this for a decade, because you know that they were hoping one day, because they've done like in conventions and stuff, like they've flirted with the idea, and you know that they were waiting for this chance to do this. So I loved it. I thought that was probably the best part of the entire episode for me.
It made me so happy. I like I said, I got emotional seeing T'Pol. I got emotional seeing them, and yeah, the world needs more and better full spectrum of humanity representation. And listen, lizard alien hologram, love is love. All right, love is love. And to round out the guest list, and then to deep dive a little bit more into the plot of the episode, beyond the characters that we saw and their fun story, we got Alfre Woodard back. Lily Sloan was in this episode. As if it wasn't crazy enough already, we get Lily Sloan of the Beagle, a new fun little. We'll get into it. I loved hearing her. I loved having her back. I wanted more of that character, even in First Contact. Her with Picard was lovely, but seeing more of her as a scientist was just really cool. And as an explorer in this episode, I loved it. Who has thoughts on Captain Lily Sloan? Trevor.
What in the Desperate Housewives season 2? Like, Alfre Woodard just decided to, like, what? Like, they pitched this to her and she was like, I would love to. Lily Sloan should have been the Gillian Taylor of First Contact. Like, there should have been some reason that she left the 21st century and came forward, and we could have gotten a lot more of her. So just assumed we'd never see her again because she's stuck basically doing all the work and letting Cochrane take the credit back on Earth. So it was just delightful. And that Alfre Woodard was like, sure, I'd love to do a random voice cameo on a Star Trek comedy show that is like the 10th iteration of Star Trek. Yeah, sign me up. That's just, I don't know. It's beautiful. I love it.
would
I was
love
so
to
happy.
see that meeting. So, like, we want you to come back as your character, but not really your character. It's another universe, and what they're doing is this. And like, you didn't invent warp drive like you did in the movie. Instead, you invent this. Like that the conversation with her, I want to hear.
And then her just going, yeah, okay, that sounds good. Like,
Yeah.
where do I sign? Like, okay. Because how does this story work? Who did they randomly pull out of the Star Trek universe if Alfre Woodard was like, nah, I'm good? Like, they wrote this episode needing that character. I don't know. I mean, could they have pulled someone else potentially? But anyway, it was brilliant and delightful and completely unexpected.
I'm starting to think why they pulled her. Well, not why they pulled her, but that kind of character. I'm starting to think Mike kind of is down with the swirl because he loves to have Black women kind of do, or he had a Black woman as a caretaker, do that emotional sort of nurture and nature. And no shade on it. I think he likes that sort of trope. But it doesn't bother me because I think you do those things for the people you love, so it doesn't feel like the emotional labor it feels like in some other situations, right? Where, you know, we're just trying to, help you along or whatever. So I appreciated that. But yeah, I'm starting to think, Mike likes the sisters. So, it made sense to me.
Other thoughts on Lily? We'll round things out just by talking about the overall the MacGuffin or the thing of it. This week we learned that all of these spatial fissures that have been opening up throughout the season, there's no malice, it's not natural, it's not some kind of attack, it's exploration. In this Lily Sloan's universe, they explore not through warp drive and meeting other cultures, which is a little weird. They want to meet other humans in different dimensions and study them. So they have an interdimensional drive instead of a warp drive. And they also have a prime directive not to talk with people who don't have that same kind of engine technology. It is a stupid rule. We're going to talk about it next month. But a new addition to the Trek lore, this universe where if you don't have interdimensional travel, we hate you or whatever. Thoughts on this and the universe imploding into our prime universe? Are the main five gonna get it done? Are they gonna save the universe?
So on the prime directive thing, I thought, well, like that shouldn't apply because it's like federation to federation. Kind of like we always say, it doesn't apply because they're already human. So like I think they should have totally been able to like say, hey, we're coming through or whatever. Leave us alone. Or something like that. So I didn't
Isn't it
get that.
predicated on I always understood it that if you weren't able to actually access space in some kind of capacity, you weren't allowed to tell them anything. If they couldn't, like if they met in space, if you're in space and you meet somebody else in space, in the space of space, not on a planet floating around in space, but in the space of space, then
Is everybody high?
clearly,
Okay, good. I'm getting there.
I wasn't until about 3 minutes ago.
clearly
she
then
was
all
sen-
bets are off, right? Because
But-
you should be able to talk to one another.
I mean, I think so, but she was centering it around the technology. Like, y'all don't have this technology. You can't create a rift on your own, so we couldn't tell you. But I'm like, you didn't have to share the technology. But I'm like, again, it's federation to federation. So
Right.
you
And
should
then
have
they
been able to
created-
say.
And then
Yeah.
they created a rift on their own.
And then they created a rift on their own. Like they've closed them, and so that broke down. And I was like, was that supposed to be funny, or was that just a logic breakdown?
It's like, welcome back, Lily Sloan. We have questions.
First
'Cause,
of all,
I
how
don't
dare
get the
you?
joke sometimes.
Well, they
Yeah.
did it with the power of what I understood to be what was the CC on the bottom said subspace glue-ons, which I was like, is that some kind of weird orbital Velcro? Like what? Why do they look like the stick I would take to a rave and have like massive hallucinogenics? Is this what we've done with Zephyrin Cochrane's skills? It's just a giant rave.
Yes.
I also liked that like a alternate universe Worf, human Worf.
Yeah, a human warp. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Duplicate Boimler was really bummed out.
And I also didn't like that they didn't account for like the energy displacement thing or whatever the pseudoscience was. Like, again, you invented this. Like, what do you mean? And then, Black T'Pol was like, I told you didn't, do this math right, bitch. And she's just like, oh, like that's where this completely fell apart for me, right? Like, are you serious? But that's when I also had my revelation, like, Mike loves fucking black women, right? But yeah, so
Did you mean he loves fucking black women, or that he loves fucking black women?
however it works for you.
Okay, just to clarify, it's fine.
I'm still absorbing all of that, but like just Black T'Pol really got me.
I mean,
Especially when I get in trouble for saying white guy in at times, because there are characters who feel like a white guy in at times.
I mean, that I assume that's what she was Black T'Pol or Black T'Lyn, or I don't know. So
I don't think I'm allowed to say any of those words. honestly, and definitely not assign any pronouns.
I said it so you all don't have to. Again, because I love you. So I'll say the hard things.
Okay.
Joanne, we appreciate
You really do. Yeah.
everything
you
else about
carry
you.
this. Yeah.
Hard thing.
Joanne is always right.
Oh.
And the last thing I'll say before we get into the excuse me, the tallies of the evening, just it's going to be interesting to see where this goes. We tragically, sadly, I want to murder about it. We only have one episode of Star Trek Lower Decks left. So we'll see where it goes next week. This episode was really exciting. We got a super fun moment with our to be continued ... Are they going to save the universe? I need to know. But before we can know, Trevor,
What?
what were the tallies tonight?
Oh, that. There were 4 problematic gay alerts. There was only 1 problematic ally alert. So
Do better, ladies.
Drop the
come on
ball.
now.
Right?
I gave negative 900 million bonus points to Rick Berman for denying us the queer joy that is Barak for so long. I gave 250 bonus points to Matt for being loose with Canon, being loose with Canon. 5,000 bonus points to Krista for being a tough act to follow. 1,600 bonus points to Joel in the comments for fucking Rick Berman. No, not like that. I gave 85 bonus points to Joanne for clocking the dick. No, not like that. I gave 10 million bonus points to Sadiq Al-Fadil, Andrew Robinson, Jolene Blaylock, Alfred Woodard, and Garrett Wong for bringing special joy into our evening. Yes, like that.
Well done.
Thanks.
I love it. Y'all, delightful, fun, as always. Thursdays are always a joy, something I look forward to. I want to thank everybody in the chat. I want to thank everybody watching across the interwebs. Please do like and subscribe on YouTube. Check us out on the socials and Blue Sky, etc. Really appreciate you all being with us. We've got one more episode of Star Trek Lower Decks coming at you next Thursday. And we will be here at 6:30 p.m. to discuss it next Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Pacific. We hope to see you there. And until then, please, whatever dimension you're in, live long and prosper.
All hands abandon ship. Proceed to the nearest evacuation zone immediately.